should I use the gold nisab or silver nisab for calculating zakat? Okay, so the origin of this ruling in the books of fiqh is, as you know, people, you pay zakat on cash. So in the past it was gold coins, silver coins, and you pay zakat on, say, animals, sheep, camels, these sorts of things. So the ulama, so even when it came to gold and silver, there were different types of currencies, from one country or another, and it was generally the similar value, similar minting. So the ulama said that a person should pay zakat bima huwa anfa'u lil fuqara, that you pay in the currency or the type of wealth which is the most beneficial for the poor. And so in our times, what we have is economies in different parts of the world vary. So, for example, as a general rule, Western economies are stronger than some Middle Eastern or third world economies. So in this situation, the question comes, well, if I'm going to calculate my zakat, at what point do I say, okay, I owe zakat? So if someone's going to go with silver, so as you know, the 200 dirhams and the 20 and the 20 mithqal of the 20 mithqal, yeah, of gold that they talk about in the books of fiqh, it was an equivalent value. Yes, there was more silver, but that silver equated the value of the nisab of gold, even though there's less gold, because gold and silver, they weren't too far apart in value. But there was a distinction, so that's why there's more silver than gold. In our times, that's changed significantly. The value of gold is incredibly high, and the value of silver is much lower. Like in some places where they go with, say, the value of gold, they'll say 87 grams. Some of the ulama have said, and like in Syria, they say 100 grams. Whichever position you follow. Let's say if you say 100 grams, you're looking at close to 5,000 pounds. And so zakat is money that the wealthy pay. So if someone has 5,000 pounds excess wealth, yes, you could be, beyond your needs. You could say, okay, this person's wealthy. They've got, some we're not talking about, multimillionaires, but this person's got excess wealth, a significant amount compared to someone, like if we look at the nisab of what silver is now, what we know from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 200 dirhams, that comes to, I believe it's going to be around 300 pounds. So, Allah. So, if you look at someone who wants to pay his zakat, if we don't, so in the West, in stronger economies, you would have to go with gold. It makes no sense going with silver, because you don't class someone who has 300 pounds above his needs to be wealthy or to have a significant amount of wealth, because 300 pounds isn't much. Right? 300 pounds, you could end up spending it, on a weekend, going on a trip somewhere. Whereas, 5,000 pounds, if you go with the nisab of gold, it's much more significant. So should we use gold or silver? In stronger economies, you would use gold. So yes, less people pay zakat because less people reach the threshold, but the amount that's being given out is more significant. And someone who, so you wouldn't go with silver in this situation. Someone who's got, let's say, 400 pounds spare, you're not really, well off in that sense, right? And in that situation, you'd be making people pay zakat, you'd be making people sacrifice an udhiyah, on Eid, and pay sadaqatul fitr. People who, okay, maybe some extra money they have lying around, but they may need it for something. And it may, like a sheep, to sacrifice a sheep, for example, here in England, you're looking at at least 100, 200 quid. In some places, it's more. In the Middle East, it's significantly more. But in places like India and Pakistan, it can be a lot cheaper. A weaker economy in that regard. So, to summarize, if you live in a country that has a stronger economy, generally a Western country, not necessarily, it could be some Middle Eastern countries, you would use the gold standard. because the value of the currency is much higher than other currencies. But if you live in a place where there's a weaker economy, so someone living in Yemen or Pakistan or India, somewhere like this, it makes sense to use the silver standard. Less people have wealth up to that point. When I went to Egypt in Ramadan, I was speaking to someone, a taxi driver, and he said he got stopped by the police and they were asking him how much do you earn, and the police officer was saying you must earn like $60 a day, 60 American dollars a day. He said that's what I earn in a month. Wow, subhanallah. So there's a big difference between these economies. So if you're in a stronger economy, you use gold because that's what's more beneficial for the poor. Because there's less people giving, but they'll be giving a certain amount more. It's people with the higher end of the spectrum who are giving, and then the people who are maybe not shar'an poor technically, but in practical terms, due to the disparity in the currency, they won't have to pay for the udhiyah, they won't have to pay for zakat, and these sorts of things, and put themselves in financial difficulties in many situations. So you go with gold, and in places where the economy is weaker, you go with the silver nisab, and that works best, and Allah knows best.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله